सो वापस आ गए हम तीसरी बार। मैं तीसरी बार इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि इससे पहले 2 एपिसोड्स रिकॉर्ड किया और वो रिलीज़ नहीं हुआ गाइस। और ये काफ़ी वियर्ड है मेरे लिए बोलना कि वी आर बैक फॉर द थर्ड टाइम बिकॉज वी रियली नॉट। मेरा लैपटॉप ख़राब हो गया, टेक्निकल इश्यूज हो गए, तो अभी मैं एडिट नहीं कर पाता वीडियोस या ऑडियोज जो भी है मेरे पॉडकास्ट एपिसोड्स। आई कांट एडिट इट एनी मोर। सो या अभी ये भी राम भरोसे हम रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं ये रिलीज़ होगी कि नहीं। बट देखते हैं।
So, ICC World T20 is back in Australia. Completely different conditions from what we saw in the last World Cup. Last World Cup में बहुत predictable pitches थे, win toss, bowl first, win match. इस बार बहुत different conditions होंगे, हर ground में अलग condition. कहीं bowlers को bounce मिलेगा तो कहीं batting paradise मिलेगा. So मज़ा तो बहुत आने वाला है. So it starts from 16th October first round. Then we have Super 12 from 22nd. Starts with Australia versus New Zealand. Then of course India versus Pakistan at the MCG Melbourne.
या इतना ज़्यादा हाइप करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है इंडिया पाकिस्तान को। इट्स प्रोबेबली वन ऑफ द मोस्ट बोरिंग राइवलरीज इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ क्रिकेट। लाइक हम लोग रियलाइज़ नहीं करते कि इंडिया पाकिस्तान राइवलरी कितना बोरिंग है। यू नो लास्ट टाइम एशिया कप में एक ही हफ्ते में 2 बार हुआ इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच, और तब मुझे समझ गया कि यार साल में एक बार ही होता है ना, बहुत अच्छा है यार, हाइप बना रहता है। ये हफ्ते में 2 बार हो गया ना, मैं पक गया वो मैच से। इट्स नॉट एन एक्साइटिंग मैचअप। आई डोंट नो व्हाई इतना हाइप्ड अप है। आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स आई नो इतना हाइप्ड अप क्यों है, बिकॉज ऑफ जियो पॉलिटिकल रीजंस। बट नहीं यार, इन ए क्रिकेटिंग फ्रेटर्निटी इट्स नॉट इवन क्लोज टू इंग्लैंड ऑस्ट्रेलिया राइवलरी। लाइक इट इज़ a very boring matchup, but we'll get to that. उससे पहले ग्रुप स्टेज होने वाला है, एंड ग्रुप स्टेज में देर आर 2 ग्रुप्स, 4 टीम्स ईच, एंड हर ग्रुप में से 2 टीम विल क्वालिफाई फॉर द सुपर 12. एंड सो फार 8 टीम्स हैव क्वालिफाइड फॉर द सुपर 12, which are Afghanistan, Australia, England, New Zealand, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan and South Africa. And the group stages team are Namibia, Netherlands, Sri Lanka, United Arab Emirates in one group, and in the second group it's Ireland, Scotland, West Indies and Zimbabwe.
Let's talk about Sri Lanka, the Asia Cup winners, who beat both India and Pakistan in the Asia Cup, but still they will play the round 1 and not qualified for Super 12 directly. Irony is that Afghanistan and Bangladesh have already qualified. So Sri Lanka's team, let's analyze their team first. So Sri Lanka has already won one World Cup in 2014 under the leadership of Lasith Malinga. So the key match will be against Namibia on 16th October. This will feature the opening match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The Islanders are clearly favourite to win this round 1 and qualify into Super 12s because of course Sri Lanka is a big name, full member, and the key player will be, I think, Wanindu Hasaranga. He will be an X factor because not only he can take wickets but also can make runs. Final against Pakistan, he was the one who made the difference between both teams in the Asia Cup. Of course they have Dasun Shanaka, the all-rounder, who has been performing very good recently. Then Kusal Mendes, Charit Asalanka, who surprised everyone in the previous World Cup. इतना अच्छा खेल दिया कि वाइस कैप्टन ही बना दिया सीधा. Patum Nisanka and Mahesh Tikshana, the power play expert. So of course Sri Lanka, I think they will definitely win this round 1 and qualify for the Super 12s.
I mean, I don't understand why are they even in the qualifiers. You know, Sri Lanka have been performing year after year. They have been, you know, consistently making appearances in the knockout stages from in like last 4 years, right, in all the ICC tournaments. It is very difficult for me to fathom the fact that Bangladesh is in the Super 12 when Sri Lanka is not. And talking about rivalries, this is another very interesting rivalry, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. I mean, it started in Nidas Trophy in 2018, right? And तब से अब तक it's not an old rivalry like India Pakistan, right? जिसका 100 साल पुराना हिस्ट्री है ऐसा नहीं है. It's just like what 4 years old, but still इतना exciting है. Like every over there is some new drama, right? And ऐसा rivalry देखने को मजा आता है. Unlike India Pakistan. But yeah, so this will be very interesting to see how Sri Lanka performs in the group stages, because उनके साथ साथ West Indies भी है in the group stages. They are in the different group, but yeah, obviously Sri Lanka and West Indies are the favorite going into the group stages. And who do you think, what are the other two teams which will qualify for the Super 12?
Let's get to that later when we analyze the other teams too. Let's talk about West Indies first. The champions, two-time champions, will be playing qualifiers. One thing I don't understand is they have big names: Nicholas Puran, Roman Powell, Sheldon Cottrell, Jason Holder. They perform in franchise cricket all over the world. But when they come together in the form of West Indies, they fail to deliver. Why is that?
I mean, I don't know. I think their style of play is way too saturated, right? Too many all-rounders, not too many dedicated batsmen or dedicated bowlers. Like, I don't think any player in their team is not an all-rounder. I don't think there is any player in their team who is not an all-rounder. Like, every batsman can bowl, every bowler can bat, right? So it becomes very difficult to create a well balancing team when you have so many all rounders in your team, right? And you know, their style of play is very non dynamic, right? It's a very, they have an identity when they play their game, right? That's why in franchise cricket you see, if you have a West Indian in your team, he becomes the anchor of the team, right? It boils down to him. Like KKR has Andre Russell, right? Mumbai Indians have Kyron Pollard, right? That one flamboyant cricketer who is the anchor of the team, right? But when it comes to West Indies, their team itself, you can't have multiple anchors in a ship, right? So I think that's why their team is very disbalanced in that proportion, right? They have very good batsmen, they have very good bowlers, but none of them are dedicated batsmen, dedicated bowler. Although I would like to point out, the key player to watch out would be Akhil Hussain for me, because he is, in my opinion, the next star of West Indian cricket. Like, his bowling is very at a level which is, you might say, A-list cricket, right? And he's very young, right? He can bowl with such discipline. He has good lines, right? And in Australia tour, we even see him bat. He can even hit long sixes, right? Akhil Hussain for me would be the key player to watch out in the West Indian team. I think he will be the deal breaker of West Indian success or failure.
Also, the absence of Shimran Hetmyer just because he missed the flight to Australia. That is insane. So, his absence will leave a loophole in the middle order, of course, and the lack of quality spin bowling, which might hurt them because of bigger grounds in Australia. And the recent emergence of Roman Powell, Kyle Mayers, and Brandon King will be a huge boost for Windies at the top of the order, and they all play in the same way. Ao, maro, out ho jao.
And that shot that Kyle Mayers played in Australia, oh my god, what a shot it was. Pat Cummins bowling at a speed of 140 plus. Okay, ball comes at the good length, and he just smacks it over extra cover, and it goes to the second tier in Australia. He completely middles the ball, right? And the ball disappears into the night sky. It is one of the most attractive looking shot that I have seen in a while in T20. And that shot, you know, spoke to me that Kyle Mayers is a class player, you know. And the way he played that shot, oh my god, what class, and how good was he looking in that shot. It was very good, you know. So West Indies does show some promise. I mean, we have seen they can defeat big names like Australia, they can defeat big names like India, right? So we should not discount them already, right? Even though they are in the group stages. I think if Akhil Hussain plays good, and their top order performs. I think West Indies is very much into the game.
Now let's talk about another full member, Ireland, who failed to qualify in the previous World Cup. And everyone expected them to qualify because they are a full member. They have had some big names, Kevin O'Brien, Paul Sterling, Belbini, but yeah, they lost against Namibia. I think Namibia surprised everyone. So Ireland this time, I hope they could qualify because the key player is Paul Sterling, a regular of Ireland side for 15 years, has 3,000 runs in T20s. No other Ireland player has even crossed 2,000. So his impact will be pivotal because he's a fan of quicker surfaces, which he will get in Australia. Belbini, the all-rounder, the captain. One player I love to watch is Henry Tactor. He has been performing across franchisee and international cricket. He was promising in the previous World Cup as well. So the batting order goes like Paul Sterling, Andrew Belbini, Henry Tactor, Lorcan Tucker, the wicketkeeper. Wide left is injured Craig Young, the left arm pacer, but he is replaced by Graham Hume.
Okay, so Dev, let me ask you, apart from Sri Lanka and West Indies, which are the two teams you want to see in the Super 12?
Ireland and Namibia,
Okay.
but my heart is also with Scotland, who previously qualified, and the George Munsey, Michael Lees, that spinner, who even performed against India. So I want them to see again, because one good thing is due to such World Cups, we get to know about more about associate players. No one knows who Callum McLeod is. No one knows who is George Munsey. So I was talking about Scotland. They have some not big names, I would say, names who can perform big. George Munsey, Richie Berrington, the captain, who replaced Kyle Coetzer. Kyle Coetzer was one of the greats for Scotland who just recently retired, but he was a disappointment in the previous World Cup. Munsey performed well. He's a good striker of the ball. Then Michael Leask, that spinner who did really well against India too.
Yeah, so Netherlands is one of those two teams which I want to see in the Super 12, apart from West Indies and Sri Lanka. It's because West in Netherlands cricket, the Dutch cricket has changed a lot. You know, it's not all about Tendo Skata, right? You remember that player, Tendo? He used to play for KKR in IPL, right? And he was a phenomenal fielder and an above average batsman as well. You know, very flamboyant player, but now it's not like that. Now they have a new player called Max O'Dowd, who's the opener, and he looks like a young Andrew Simons. You know, he recently passed away, but he looks like him, and he is the highest run getter for Netherlands, and yeah, in Australia, the Dutch fans would be banking on Max to score some runs, and I think he is very key for Netherlands success.
Their bowler Fred Klaassen, he really impressed me in the previous World Cup. So he's the one to watch out for as well. And let's come to Namibia, the team which shocked everyone. They defeated Ireland and qualified for the Super 12s. Huge credit goes to their captain Gerard Erasmus and David Wiese, the ex-South African player who switched to Namibia. The key match will be versus Netherlands because last time they defeated them. They chased 165 with David Wiese's 66 of 40 balls. Around the work of batting of skipper Erasmus and all-rounder JJ Smith. Smith stands at 7th all-rounder in the ICC all-rounder rankings. But apart from David Wiese, it's Gerard Erasmus, the skipper. Despite of a broken finger last year, he showed his quality and also remains firmly in the conversation of the best batter in the associate nations. He has a good strike rate well over 130, an average of 30. That's, I think, pretty good in T20s. In T20s, you don't look for averages, you actually look for strike rate. And over 130 for skipper is a good thing because he's the one who holds the wicket from one end and let others go bang bang.
I think UAE does not get our love. I think we are discounting UAE already. I mean, come on, man. क्या टीम है UAE सच में? बेचारे फंस गए इतने बड़े बड़े टीम्स के बीच में. वो लोग बस ऐसे ही ट्रिप करने आए हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया घूमने आए UAE, क्योंकि अरे यार मैं अभी शायद UAE मेरा वीज़ा कैंसिल कर देगा. But yeah, I don't think UAE stands a chance. But we even said in one of our unreleased episodes that India will win Asia Cup. But that did not happen certainly. So we don't know, UAE can even win the World Cup. We don't know. But yeah, who are we kidding? I don't think UAE stands a chance in Australia. And conditions will be glaringly different from UAE, right? So I don't think UAE has that exposure to play on such conditions, such quick pitches, such bouncy pitches, right? And also the Australian grounds are considerably bigger than UAE. So I think United Arab Emirates will find it very difficult to cope with other teams in Australia. So Dev, I think सारे teams हो गए ना? कोई team बचा है क्या?
Are we missing someone?
Zimbabwe! The fuck? Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is very interesting. We see कि Zimbabwe का downfall हो गया है cricketing fraternity से, but there are very complicated reasons for that happening. The government getting involved, the economic conditions in Zimbabwe, a lot of things had led to Zimbabwe's downfall. A nation which has more than 99% of black population had completely white team. It's a very interesting and very an anomaly of teams, Zimbabwe. But now it's not like that. अभी कोटा system आ गया है. So I guess equal amounts of blacks and whites play in the team right now. But yeah, Zimbabwe, a very interesting team to watch out for, because they defeated the mighty Australia in Australia. How did that happen?
Ever since the former skipper Houghton took over as the coach, Zimbabwe started improving. Expectations are much higher from them because they have only lost one T20I since he took over. And of course that have upset over Australia and Queensland last month. So confidence will be high. And skipper Craig Erwin, who is a very reliable player, will be relied upon others this time. And that player would be Sikandar Raza, the star all-rounder who was very handy against Australia, and he was the one who pushed the victory against them. He was the player of the tournament during Zimbabwe's unbeaten qualifier B campaign, and 3 ODI centuries during the month of August alone saw him become the first Zimbabwe player to claim ICC's Player of the Month award. And this guy can also bowl off spin, so he will be the key player for Zimbabwe.
ये बायलैटरल सीरीज में ये थर्ड मैच का क्या फंड है यार? जो सबसे अनइम्पॉर्टेंट मैच होता है वही मैच में कुछ अचंभित हो जाता है. क्रिकेट हैज़ अ वेरी गुड रिलेशनशिप विद अनइम्पॉर्टेंट मैचेस. विराट कोहली का 71st सेंचुरी केम इन द मोस्ट अनइम्पॉर्टेंट मैच ऑफ द एंटायर टूर्नामेंट. South Africa bounced back in the most unimportant match of the entire series. And Zimbabwe getting a win over Australia in the most unimportant match of the series.
I won't call it unimportant match because ये ODI Super League में included है, so each game has importance. हर win का points मिलता है. So yeah, that's good thing. अनइम्पोर्टेंट मैच में जीत लो। हाँ, विराट कोहली वाला सही था, किसी ने देखा भी नहीं होगा।
विराट कोहली क्या गैंगस्टर है ना यार, जब पूरा दुनिया देख रहा है कि अब मारेगा विराट कोहली सेंचुरी, अब मारेगा, तब नहीं मारा उसने। जब कोई नहीं देख रहा था मैच वही मैच में ही स्कोर्ड हिज 71st सेंचुरी, द मोस्ट एंटिसिपेटेड, नो नॉट द मोस्ट एंटिसिपेटेड, द मोस्ट लुक्ड आफ्टर सेंचुरी probably in the history of Indian cricket. उसे अफगानिस्तान के अगेंस्ट मारा in the last match of Asia Cup for India. What a gangster.